The Denver Nuggets, 57-25, defending champions from the season before, got the second seed this past season and lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves in the second round of the playoffs. Game seven at home versus Minnesota. They had this lead and then they choked it. And the thing about Denver is that they're still going to be a great team this year and still a title contender this year. But every season, with all the CBA rules in place and sort of punitive nature of luxury tax in general, Denver's had this thing where 2 years ago they lost Bruce Brown and Jeff Green because they couldn't afford to pay them, and then this past season they lost Kentavious Caldwell Pope because they couldn't really afford to pay him, and just every year with these expensive contracts that Denver has between Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Nikola Jokic, like it's gonna keep getting expensive. And Aaron Gordon is due for an extension soon. Like there's a lot to pay the price for when you build your team that way. For all the great things Denver did to win their title, they're sort of reaping the consequences now. What does that mean for their current roster? It means they're playing a lot of young guys, which head coach Michael Malone has feuded with the GM Calvin Booth over because he doesn't like to play young guys, and now he's stuck with playing Julian Strawther and Peyton Watson and Christian Brown. Now, Christian Brown, he helped the finals run. He was great in the finals run, but even this past season, he only averaged 20 minutes a game in the playoffs. And you look at Julian Strawther and Peyton Watson, like there's tools there defensively and to be good shooters, but both shot 30% from three last year, so they're gonna have to step it up, and they're kind of forced to step it up now that there really isn't depth. Speaking of depth, in the offseason, for reasons I still don't quite understand, the Nuggets signed Russell Westbrook. Now, Westbrook is great for pushing the pace. He's a great rebounding guard. His defense has been better the last few seasons compared to when he was in LA with the Lakers, but he is just a total liability, if not in the regular season, definitely in the playoffs. And Russell Westbrook is single handedly the reason why your team will not advance past a certain point because he just shoots you out of games with terrible shots, terrible decision making. Guy's been in the league, guy's been a superstar, just does dumb, low IQ things all the time. It doesn't make sense. So, for all the help with the playmaking and the ball handling to help Nikola Jokic take a break, for all the cutting that he does, moving off the ball, none of that's going to matter come playoff time. And I look at Denver and I think, for all the talent, Jokic is still the best player in the world, arguably, and they have this great core. There's a lot of questions. Murray did not play well in the Olympics. He didn't play well in the playoffs last season, but he really played bad in the Olympics. Allegedly, he was hurt. Even so, he has not played well. Michael Porter Jr., he's a kind of up and down guy. Like, he played great against LA, the Lakers, in the first round, but was not all there against the Timberwolves. I think he shot like 32, 33% from the field or something incredibly, or maybe that was from three. I'm not sure, but it was bad. And there really isn't much besides the core four of Murray, Porter, Jokic, and Aaron Gordon. And, with two of their better 3-point shooters, the Nuggets weren't really a 3-point shooting team last year. They shot in terms of accuracy, they were okay, but they were 30th in attempts and 25th in makes. You're not going to really win at the highest level doing that. And they just lost KCP to Orlando, and they lost Reggie Jackson actually in a trade, the Klay Thompson trade. They traded him to Charlotte. He's now in Philly, but whatever. But those are two of their best 3-point shooters, and now you're replacing that with Russell Westbrook and Dario Saric, who is a solid shooter. Good pickup by Denver if you ask me, but he does not fix what is ailing Denver in terms of lack of pace, which hopefully the young guys can fix, and lack of shooting. Because if I look at Denver's roster as a whole, there is size, there isn't a lot of depth, there isn't a lot of shooting, and that's ultimately going to be the difference in the ball game. And I kind of worry for Denver. Like their first round pick is top five protected to Orlando. Not that they would try and tank anyway. They're right under the second apron, and that's kind of scary territory for any NBA team. So if they don't win this year, it's going to be a lot harder next year and the year after that. And with Jokic being in his prime, it's still sort of an issue with this new rules that we have to deal with as an NBA. So I don't know what the play is here. I don't think you can really trade for another like big name guy or a star. I think you're kind of stuck developing the young guys and maybe trying to get some cap relief in the offseason, or like if it were me, I'm trying to trade Michael Porter Jr. Like I think he's way too expensive for what he does. I think you can get something cheaper, but who's going to want him? Um, I think Jamal Murray, they gave him this extension and 4 years, 208 million, which is like insane for a guy who has never been an all-star, has, yeah, helped win a title, but has never been an all-star and gets injured a lot and has been a little up and down in the playoffs. Like, it's kind of worrisome to tie all your money to him. I get the sort of optics behind it. He's Jokic's running mate, blah, 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 but at some point, if you're Denver, you got to get off some of those salaries, figure out what's going to be your long-term rotation. Jokic, obviously, but who else? And I imagine his game will age well even as he gets older. But figure that out. Figure out which young guys you can play. Trade the core guys that you can't, and try and rebuild from there. Because otherwise, you're going to keep losing key players in the offseason.